Hello, this is Sherline of Kathanika. The story I have for you today is a folktale from Nagaland. It is called Lima and Tomo. This story is brought to you as part of the Utsar 2020 festival organized by the Jaya He Museum of the Mumbai International Airport. Hundreds of years ago, in the Longsa village of the Lotha Nagas, there lived two little boys. They were called Lima and Tomo. Lima and Tomo were great friends right from when they were babies. Lima was the serious of the two, with a perpetual frown plastered on his chubby little face. Tomo was the funny one, always grinning and up to mischief. If Lima was scolded for doing something wrong, Tomo would cry. And if Tomo was caught doing mischief, Lima would stick up for him. Such was their legendary friendship. Lima and Tomo were inseparable. They did everything together. They shared their food, they shared their toys, and their love and friendship matured over the years. By and by, Lima and Tomo grew up to be capable young men. One day, Lima wished to go hunting in the jungle. Tomo, who was normally Lima's companion in the sport, was engaged in some farm work and could not accompany him. Lima decided he would go hunting alone. Lima entered the forest. It was a pleasant day. The cool breeze was blowing. The birds were chirping amongst the trees. Lima was wandering in the jungle with his bow and arrows, hoping to shoot a good prey when he came to a spring. Lima was walking near the spring when he thought he heard some movement from behind a bush. Lima slowed down. He put his arrows onto his bow, pulled back the bowstring with the arrows ready to shoot, and walked around the bush. Lima could hear the animal moving just behind the bush. Lima tiptoed, hoping to see what kind of animal it was. From the size of the movements and the sound, Lima thought it may be a large animal. Lima closed in on the bush and jumped forward. The animal was caught by surprise. Then, the animal gave a gasp and laughed. Lima laughed too. It wasn't an animal at all. It was Tunla. Tunla was the pretty daughter of the headman of their village. She had come to fetch water from the spring. Tunla had spotted some herbs and had gone over to the bush to collect them when Lima came there. Lima admired Tunla's easygoing nature. Lima was in love with the good-humored Tunla and wished to marry her. But there was an anecdote prevalent about Tunla. They say, once when Tunla was a little girl, Tunla was followed by a ferocious man-eating tiger, but she was lucky to escape. It was traditionally believed among the Lothas that when a man-eater followed someone, it would eventually kill him or her unless the animal itself was killed first. That is why Tunla's father had made a declaration that only he who would kill the tiger could aspire for Tunla's hand in marriage. But the man-eater was reputedly so fierce that even though Tunla was pretty, smart, and good-natured, the young men of the village did not think her worth such a risk of losing their very lives. Lima was aware of the story. Lima was very worried because Lima was helplessly in love with Tunla. Lima thought about his problem a lot. To win Tunla's hand, he would have to kill the tiger. One day, Lima made up his mind. He would have to slay the man-eating tiger and claim his bride. Lima prepared himself. At dusk, as the tired evening sun was setting behind the hills, Lima took his two dependable weapons, a sharp dagger and a long spear. Lima marched into the dense forest, determined to find out the tiger and kill it. Tomo saw his friend walking into the jungle from a distance. Tomo was aware of Lima's love for Tunla. Tomo knew exactly what Lima had in mind and why he was venturing into the forest with his favorite weapons at that time of day. Tomo knew Lima was running a risk, a grave risk, which might even cost him his life. Tomo, a true friend, decided that it wasn't safe for Lima to take on the ferocious man-eating tiger alone. Making up his mind to watch over his dear friend, Tomo picked up his axe and spear and silently started following Lima. Amidst the cacophony of birds returning home and preparing to retire for the night, Lima reached the heart of the jungle. Lima walked glassy-eyed, thinking of Tunla. He saw a dead tree that had fallen in front of him. Lima decided to sit on one of its branches. He was tired and a lot was going through his mind. Lima's eyes became dreamy as he watched the deep red horizon of the evening sky. Treading softly, Tomo reached behind Lima. Suddenly, he was petrified with fear. What did he see? Just behind and below the tree where Lima's shadow hung, the dreaded man-eater was vainly trying with all his might to tear apart the human shadow, Lima's shadow. Taking utmost care and in breathtaking silence, Tomo moved ahead. He lifted up his spear and waited. The moment he got an opportunity, he pierced the tiger's heart with his sharp spear. The attack was fatal and deadly, but the tiger also took his last toll. With all its might, the animal flew with outstretched claws onto Tomo and ripped open his body. Lima was lost in thoughts and oblivious of what was happening. But the wild roar of the tiger startled him out of his thoughts. He saw the notorious tiger with his friend in his arms only to hear Tomo's last words. Brother Lima, sever the tiger's head and carry it to Tunla's father. Say that you have killed it. Let no one know that I met death at the tiger's hands. Bury me here. If you really love me, name your and Tunla's first child after me and plant a pine tree on my grave. It will protect my remains from the sun and rain and spread a soothing shadow over my grave. With these dying words, Tomo left the world for good. Lima ran to his friend and lifted him onto his lap. He cradled Tomo's head and wept. Why, Tomo, why? This should have been me. This should have been me. Lima sat crying for some time. He then got up and with tears streaming down his eyes, dug a grave for his best friend. With a great lump in his chest, Lima tenderly lifted his friend and buried him. Lima then found a pine tree sapling and planted it over the grave of his friend just as Tomo had requested. Having observed all the wishes of his ever-enduring friend Tomo, there was only one thing left to do. Lima cut off the head of the tiger with Tomo's axe and carried it to Tunla's father. Tunla was pleased and Tunla's father happily gave her hand in marriage to Lima. Although Lima was getting what he had always dreamed for, there was a heaviness in his heart, for he missed his dear friend Tomo. The elders of the village say that Lima and Tunla went on to have 2 children, and both of them were named after Tomo. If you happen to go to the Longsa village of Nagaland and ever enter that forest, in the very center of it, you will come across a strong and tall pine tree. Under it, there is a nameless grave, and around it, you will find a number of small pine trees, and with them, the legend of Lima and Tomo lives on. I hope you enjoyed the story, dear friends. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this wonderful tale with your friends. Bye-bye.